Members of Parliament on Canada's House of Commons Ag Committee have published a list of recommendations for the federal government aimed at tackling the issue of food price volatility. Host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney, joins us now with the very latest on this topic. Sean, good to have you with us. So who did the committee hear from?
Hey, great to be with you here this morning. So the committee heard from a long list of witnesses, actually, including executives from some of the major grocers like Loblaws, Metros, Sobeys, Walmart, as well as Costco. They also heard from representatives from the farm and processing sectors, academics, federal officials, and the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, Francois-Philippe Champagne. So a well-rounded group of stakeholders providing their perspectives on what are some of the things that Canada can do, if at all, to deal with some of the food price volatility that is impacting affordability for a lot of Canadians.
Can you talk about some of those recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to go through all 10, of course, but I will mention a couple that definitely stuck out to me. One had to do with temporary foreign workers, and we're seeing the Canadian government really talk about reducing the ability for certain industries to be able to access temporary foreign workers. The committee pointed out that they are critical for making sure that we are able to have food produced on farms, especially in that horticulture area of the industry. The committee recommends that the Government of Canada increase staffing and the regularity of inspections at the Canadian border when it comes to food goods. Also, encouraging the government to move forward on Bill C-234. This is that grain drying bill, as many people are calling it, where farmers would get an exemption on having to pay the carbon tax on things like grain drying, but also making sure that we include things like heating of barns. And finally, the committee recommends that the Government of Canada review its front-of-package labeling regulations to better balance its public health objectives with the industry concerns over the cost of compliance here, really the cost of labeling and how that does impact the price of goods at the grocery store as well. It's just named a few of the recommendations. The full list can be found at RealAgriculture.com.
Of course, any of these possibly becoming legislative changes, you think?
Yeah, well, I did mention C-234. That's one for sure. There also was talk of what needs, and it's not necessarily a legislative piece, but I guess it would require an enactment of legislation to apply the Grocery Code of Conduct to the respecting jurisdictions in Canada. So there is a push here for the Grocery Code of Conduct, although that's more, and we had John Barlow, the Shadow Minister for Agriculture, on Real Ag Radio yesterday for Conservatives. And he mentioned, having the Grocery Code of Conduct is more making sure that farmers supplying goods to the grocery store are treated fairly. It doesn't necessarily lower the cost of food. The other thing I want to mention in terms of legislative changes is the committee recommends that the Government of Canada reinforce the competition law by really looking at enacting structural presumptions to simplify merger cases. So there's a lot of big mergers, for example, by Terra and Bunge right now, dealing with those in a more speedy manner, and empower the Competition Tribunal to make an order dissolving completed merger or prohibiting the merger from proceeding if the merger would result in excessive combined market share. So same attitude and thinking that we've seen in the U.S. when it comes to antitrust, and really having a bit of a keener eye on some of the big mergers and acquisitions as they're happening in today's time. The same kind of attitude exists in Canada right now.
All right, good information. That's host of Real Ag Radio, Sean Haney. We appreciate your time. And this Real Ag Radio update is brought to you by Economics. You can go to nutrient-economics.com for the latest crop nutrition research and information. And you can catch Sean on his show, Real Ag Radio, which airs at 4:30 p.m. Eastern weekdays on Rural Radio, Channel 147 on Sirius XM. And we will talk to him again tomorrow on Market Day Report.